Is Google evil or not? The FAA gives the go-ahead to Amazon drones, sort of. And is it possible to buy a decent smartphone for only $70? Tech News Tonight is next.
This is Twit.
This is Tech News Tonight, episode 299 for Friday, March 20th, 2015. This episode is brought to you by lynda.com, the online learning platform with over 3,000 on-demand video courses to help you strengthen your business, technology, and creative skills. For a free 10-day trial, visit lynda.com/TN2. That's lynda.com/TN2. Welcome, I am Megan Morrone. Let's get right to the news. Late yesterday, the Wall Street Journal reported that according to a 2012 FTC report, Google used anti-competitive tactics, including, but not limited to, manipulating search results. The report also said that key members of the FTC wanted to pursue an antitrust case against the search giant, but chose not to. Mashable's Jason Abbruzzese is here to talk about the accusations against Google. Welcome, Jason.
Thanks for having me.
So the Wall Street Journal obtained this report by accident. Someone from the FTC sent it when they meant to send something else. That was pretty lucky for them, I guess.
Yeah.
So what did the report say in a nutshell, and how much damage will it do to Google?
In a nutshell, one of the teams that the FTC had assigned to take a look at Google's practices said that, we think that they have done things that warrant a lawsuit, that warrant us, charging them with certain things, such as, tilting their search engine to favor their own content, of scraping other people's work, such as TripAdvisor, Yelp, and Amazon. I think were the three big examples. Unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, the FTC's commissioners decided not to heed those recommendations. Another group, actually, the Economic Bureau, said that they didn't think that anything Google was doing was bad enough to warrant charges. So the FTC have, weighed those two things and decided not to charge them. Google basically at that point has gotten off. This is 3 years ago now. So Google doesn't really face any legal problems, but to their reputation, this is definitely a big blow.
Right. I mean, it's good for Yelp. I mean, Yelp's been complaining that they've been stealing their information for a long time, right?
Yeah, I mean, they've been one of the most public companies saying that, Google has been taking our reviews, taking our rankings, things like that, using them for their own benefit, and that, that is clearly not fair. So certainly a vindication for them. Unfortunately for Yelp, there's probably no, actual legal relief on the way here, but possibly in Europe where these cases are still open.
Right. So your focus of your article was what happened to Google's Don't Be Evil. What did happen?
It's what happens to every one of these companies. You start out with the best intentions, but once you get to the top of the heap, as Google has in the search market, all you can do is try to stay there. And as other companies start coming up and start coming out with in some ways better products, whether you think it's better or not, especially when you're on your mobile phone now, there's a decent chance if you're looking for a restaurant, you're not Google searching it, you're searching Yelp. Or if you're looking for a hotel, you're not Google searching it, you're searching TripAdvisor. So as these, pieces of competition come along, Google has to, take steps to try to limit the impact on their business, and that can come off a little evil at times. Right.
Well, a lot of people are making comparisons of the Google of now to the Microsoft of the late 90s. Microsoft, of course, had their own antitrust case. But some people say that that's not really why Microsoft lost the market share. They lost it because they didn't innovate. I mean, do you think the same thing is happening with Google right now?
I mean, that's what a lot of tech analysts are saying at this point, is that Google's game is currently right now. I mean, it's great. Their business model is unbelievable and they're making it a lot of revenue. But what's coming down the line, Google's not working on. Certainly, they are innovating on many things. You've seen the driverless cars, things like that.
Project
it's not
Loon.
that Google. Yeah, exactly. Like they're working on a lot of different things to try to stay ahead of the game. But we've seen over and over again that it can be really hard to lead from ahead in tech, and that. It never seems like these companies will ever fall, and they always do.
Right. So it seems like they're innovating in a lot of areas, but not necessarily search, where their bread and butter used to be, I guess.
Sure, and you know, it's just always hard to say what's next. You know, for instance, you know, Microsoft overtook IBM because IBM was making mainframes, which back in the day was the big business. But Microsoft came along and you know helped make PCs the big business. Microsoft fell behind when smartphones became a much bigger industry than computers. And in some ways, you know, Google overtook a lot of companies because they got ahead on search, which became a much bigger industry than anything else on the internet. You know, what comes next is a tough question to answer, but a lot of people think that you know, we're going to see something and that Google, you know, will have trouble keeping up. There's also the issue of just fragmentation, as I just spoke to, you know, especially on mobile phones. I don't think people are you know, purely Googling as much as they used to. There's so many application-specific things you can go to now that you might think of first that mobile search is really, you know, a tough one to figure out.
Right. So what happens next with this story? I mean, based on this FTC report, a consumer advocacy group is asking the FTC to open the case back up. Do you think anything will come of this?
I would doubt it. I think the FTC is going to say we made our decision. It would be a bad precedent for the FTC to revisit something just because something became public without any new evidence to justify it. Granted, if the public cries become loud enough, certainly the FTC might relent. I think where this really actually hits Google is in Europe, where their antitrust case on very similar grounds with Yelp and TripAdvisor as people making the complaints has been reopened for the fourth time. 3 previous settlements that Google had proposed were rejected. So this could be more fuel for the fire there.
Right. So before the show started, we were talking about a late-breaking story you were working on. The New York Times was retracting a story that they wrote about wearables and the connection with cancer. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened there?
Sure. Well, style section columnist Nick Bilton, who is also previously a tech writer, he's written, you know, a book on Twitter that was very well received. He wrote an article that kind of implied some sort of link between wearables and cancer. I think we've heard a similar theory floated about cell phones and cancer.
Or everything in cancer.
Everything. It's a very good point, and that's one of the issues really with the article. One of the people he quotes is a person who is an alarmist about, you know, carcinogens. He thinks basically everything can cause cancer. It wasn't portrayed that way in the article, and a lot of people took issue with that. You know, a lot of people wrote takedowns. The Verge, Wired, even the New York Times' own public editor, Margaret Sullivan, ended up writing an article that was very critical. They ended up issuing a very serious retraction today, basically saying that there is not a lot of scientific basis for this, and that the article should have been written in a different way, and noted that the person that they quoted was certainly far from you know, he's not a cancer researcher. He's an alternative medicine person.
Right. Well, thank you, Jason, for covering these topics. And I know it's Friday night there, so I will let you enjoy your Mashable party that you're having. You're a business reporter at Mashable. Where can people check up on what you're doing now?
I mean, please visit us at Mashable, follow us on Facebook, all that good stuff. Or even if you want to hear my daily musings on the March Madness tournament and anything else I find, you can follow me on Twitter too. All
right. Thank you, Jason.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Coming up next, find out why one website's traffic just increased 2,500%. And can one robot-loving Swedish singer tackle the diversity in tech problem? But first, this episode of Tech News Tonight is brought to you by lynda.com. Lynda.com is for problem solvers, for the curious, for people who want to make things happen. Maybe you want to develop an app, take better photos, improve your memory, or build a new website. Lynda.com has everything you need to feed your curious mind. Do you want to learn a new programming language? Check out lynda.com. There are courses on Swift, PHP, C, C++, Python, Ruby, Java, and more. They also have an innovative monthly series called Code Clinic, where lynda.com issues a code challenge and authors share their solutions using different programming languages. With a lynda.com membership, you can stream thousands of video courses on demand, complete with transcripts, which allow you to follow along or search for an answer and skip to that point in the video. Your lynda.com membership gives you unlimited access to training on hundreds of topics, all for one flat rate. Whether you're looking to become an expert, you're passionate about a hobby, or you just want to learn something new, visit lynda.com/TN2 and sign up for your free 10-day trial. That's lynda.com/TN2, and we thank them for their support. Now on to a few more stories we're following today. Great Fire, a service that helps people in China access censored websites, posted details on their blog today about a DDoS attack that's sending 2.6 billion requests per hour to its server. That's a 2,500% increase in traffic. The attack appears to be in response to Great Fire's stance on free speech and internet censorship. Reuters reports that as of this morning, their site was not accessible in China. Great Fire is asking Amazon to forego the $30,000 per day in bandwidth costs that they're now incurring due to the attack. And speaking of Amazon, yesterday the Federal Aviation Administration gave Amazon the go-ahead to begin testing its drone program. The FAA said Amazon could begin to perform test flights over rural land in Washington state with a few limitations. Flights must be kept under 400 feet, the drone must be kept in sight, and the pilot must have a private pilot's license. And please, no drinking and droning. Microsoft has added another low-end Lumia phone to its lineup. This dual-SIM Lumia 430 will cost only $70. The phone is designed for emerging markets and comes with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 200 SoC with dual 1.2 gigahertz Cortex A7 cores. In other Microsoft news, this week we told you that Windows 10 will be available as a free upgrade, even for people running pirated versions of older Windows operating systems. Now, Windows Weekly host Paul Thurrott says this is not accurate. The confusion came from a misinterpreted quote from an interview with Terry Myerson. According to a statement from Microsoft, people running pirated copies of Windows might still be able to update their software, but it will not change the state of the license. In other words, it will not be non-genuine. It will still be non-genuine, and it will not be supported by Microsoft. A Chevy Malibu might be just the thing to help you sleep at night if your child is old enough to drive. Chevy's Teen Driver is a new onboard system that allows parents to monitor their children's driving and see a report about how fast their children drove, how far they went, and whether any safety features were engaged. Other bells and whistles include the ability to preset speeds that your teen can't exceed, warnings when teens are exceeding this speed, and the power to mute the sound system in the car if the driver or passenger hasn't fastened their seatbelts. The new Chevy Malibu sedan will be released in April. And finally, do you know Robin, the Swedish recording artist and lover of robots? I did not until I read the story on The Verge today about Robin Carlson, who goes by the stage name Robin. Robin just announced a brand new tech festival designed especially for teenage girls. The festival is called Tekla. It's meant for girls ages 11 through 18 who are interested in the STEM fields. Workshops and programs will include programming, robotics, 3D printing, game development, electronic music, and more. The event will be held on April 18th with the support from Google, Spotify, and other tech firms. And that is it for this edition of Tech News Tonight. You can subscribe to the show at twit.tv/TN2. You can write to us at tn2@twit.tv, and you can watch live every weekday at 4 p.m. Pacific at live.twit.tv. Today's Tech News Tonight selfie fan of the day is Michael Thomason from Georgia, who is a self-proclaimed avid techie gamer and tall guy. He enjoys sci-fi movies, fantasy, and the occasional comic, as do I. Well, thanks for finding the time in your day after work to watch TN2. Good luck with your blog, your reviews, and your podcasting. And if you want to see your selfie on the air, then send your selfie to us at tn2@twit.tv, or you can tag your pictures with hashtag TN2selfie on Twitter, on Google+, Instagram, or like I said, you can send them via email to tn2@twit.tv. Make sure to tell us a little bit about yourself, and we might show your selfie on the show. Also, have you taken our audience survey yet? Go to twit.tv/survey and tell us what you think. The survey is anonymous, so feel free to let us have it. What do you like? What do you hate? What do you rewind and watch again? What do you mute? We want to hear everything. And if you want more tech news, don't miss our morning tech news program, Tech News Today. It's a longer format show with more interviews and more commentary. You can watch that every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern at live.twit.tv. I'm Megan Morrone. Thanks for watching.
Bandwidth for Tech News Tonight is brought to you by Cashfly.com. It's time for Twit's annual audience survey, and we want to hear from you. Please visit twit.tv/survey and let us know what you think. It only takes a few minutes, and your anonymous feedback will help us make Twit even better. We thank you so much for your continued support. Twit.tv/survey.